I always thought love meant trust, until trust was stolen from me," Emily whispered as she stepped into the grand hall, the golden chandeliers casting fractured light across the marble floors, each sparkle reflecting the pain in her chest as she watched her sister, Sophie, laughing effortlessly with the man she once promised forever to, the crowd's soft murmurs swelling like a tide of judgment, the air thick with champagne and perfumed gossip. Emily's mind replaying the countless nights she stayed awake making plans, sacrificing little comforts, believing in a future that had been quietly erased by betrayal. A tremor ran through her as memories of late-night whispers and shared dreams flickered across her mind like the warm glow of candlelight, the kind that once made her feel invincible, yet now only emphasized the emptiness where security had been. She drew a slow, measured breath, feeling the weight of countless eyes, the soft clink of silverware and delicate laughter filling the spaces between her thoughts. Yet Emily refused to falter, letting her gaze settle on the smallest detail. A delicate bracelet Sophie's hand adorned, once meant for her, and she allowed a quiet, almost imperceptible smile to form, not of victory, but of resolve. She stepped back, her heels clicking against the marble, echoing a rhythm that matched the steadiness of her heartbeat. The scent of polished wood and fresh flowers mingling with the underlying tension of secrets unsaid, a subtle warmth from the evening light brushing her cheek, as if the world itself was acknowledging the turning of a page. Each step she took from the edge of the crowd to the shadowed corners of the hall, symbolizing the silent promise she made to herself, a vow that this moment of humiliation would not define her, that the pain would be transformed into a quiet strength. Emily's eyes met those of a passing stranger, a fleeting connection, and she felt the stirrings of a life that could be hers, independent, unshaken, her hand brushing against the cool marble railing, grounding herself in the tangible reality. Around her, the sounds of laughter fading into a soft blur as her inner resolve sharpened, the memory of whispered confessions and stolen kisses forming a backdrop against which her reinvention would be staged, the smell of roses and citrus in the air wrapping around her, marking the beginning of a new chapter. And with a deep, controlled exhale, Emily stepped fully into the hall's warm, golden light, letting the world witness not a woman broken, but one quietly preparing for a resurgence that would be both subtle and impossible to ignore. Emily stepped out of the grand hall, the evening air crisp against her skin, carrying the faint scent of autumn leaves mixed with the city streets. She walked with purpose through the crowded sidewalks, the sounds of distant traffic and soft laughter blending into a rhythm that matched her racing thoughts. The memory of the gala fading as she reached the small café tucked between a bookstore and a florist, sunlight filtering through the large windows, dust motes dancing in the golden rays. She pushed open the door, the familiar chime announcing her presence, and was immediately greeted by the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the warmth of the place wrapping around her like a comforting blanket, tables lined with rustic wood, soft jazz humming from a corner speaker. Emily allowed herself a small smile, adjusting the apron she wore, and noticed a young boy, perhaps 6 years old, laughing as he accidentally knocked over a sugar jar, the mess forgotten as he turned to her with a guilty grin. The man accompanying him stepped forward, tall, with an easy confidence and kind eyes that seemed to see past her careful composure, introducing himself as Liam Brooks, a single father who had just moved to the neighborhood. Emily felt a flicker of curiosity and connection, observing the gentle way he interacted with his son, her own. Memories of love and trust weaving quietly into the present moment. She poured coffee, her hands steady despite the emotions swirling beneath the surface, the soft clinking of cups and saucers punctuating the conversation. Liam sharing small details about his life, his work, and his hopes. Emily listening intently, recognizing the authenticity in his words. For the first time in months, feeling a sense of grounded hope. The morning sun continuing to climb, casting elongated shadows across the floor, and in that light, Emily realized that this small cafe, these ordinary interactions, were the beginning of a life rebuilt, each shared smile and fleeting glance marking the subtle steps of her own quiet resurgence. A journey of self-discovery and strength forming beneath the surface, the air alive with the scent of possibility. And as Emily glanced at Liam and his son laughing over a shared story, she allowed herself a deep breath, embracing the calm before the next chapter, knowing that while the past could not be undone, the present held the power to redefine everything she had thought lost. Emily adjusted the sunlight streaming through the cafe windows onto the polished wooden counter, her fingers tracing the edge as she contemplated the path her life had taken, the laughter of Liam and his son echoing softly, a comforting rhythm against the hum of morning traffic outside. She remembered the quiet strength she had found in herself, how the small victories of opening her own business and reclaiming her mornings had begun to heal the lingering ache of betrayal. A soft chime announced a new customer, and she looked up to see Liam holding a folded invitation, his eyes meeting hers with a mix of anticipation and curiosity. He handed it to her gently, explaining that it was for a gala later that evening, an event that promised to be a turning point. Emily studied the elegant card, feeling a flicker of excitement tempered by the knowledge that the world she once inhabited was waiting just beyond her doorstep. She prepared for the evening meticulously, choosing a simple yet striking dress that reflected her renewed confidence, the soft fabric brushing against her skin as she moved, the scent of roses and citrus from the florist next door mingling with the aroma of her coffee, grounding her in the present. Liam assisted her with a light touch on her arm, a silent reassurance that she was not alone. The car ride to the gala filled with quiet conversation and the occasional laughter of his son in the back seat. As they arrived, the grand entrance was adorned with shimmering lights and polished floors, the sound of music and muted chatter welcoming them into the elegant space. Emily felt the familiar tension of high society awareness, but her stride remained confident, her head held high as they navigated through the crowd, eyes occasionally meeting those of acquaintances and strangers alike, whispers and subtle glances tracing their movement. And then the moment arrived. Sophie noticed them entering, her smile faltering slightly as Emily and Liam approached, Nathan Reynolds standing nearby, his expression unreadable as he observed. Emily felt a quiet thrill of anticipation, the air around them charged with expectation, yet she remained composed, allowing a calm smile to play upon her lips. Liam at her side offering a reassuring presence, the ambient light catching the subtle glint of her bracelet, a silent signal of her resilience and regained strength. Conversations paused momentarily, the room sensing the shift, and as Emily and Liam moved with ease through the elegant crowd, she realized that the moment was not about confrontation, but the affirmation of her own growth, the reclaiming of her narrative. And in that soft, suspended tension, the evening promised more than she had imagined, a prelude to revelations that would unfold, leaving the audience waiting for the next chapter of her journey. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of Emily's cafe, illuminating the polished wooden tables and casting a soft glow over the steam rising from freshly brewed coffee cups. She moved with calm precision, arranging pastries and greeting the few early customers with a warmth that seemed to radiate from within. Liam sat at a corner table, his son sketching with crayons, the boy's laughter filling the space with a light, carefree melody that contrasted sharply with the tension Emily had felt the previous night. She poured a latte and carried it over to Liam, their fingers brushing briefly as she set the cup down, the gesture sparking a quiet, shared smile. Conversation flowing easily as they spoke of mundane details and small dreams. Yet beneath the surface, Emily sensed a subtle connection, a bond forming through trust and mutual respect. The aroma of roasted coffee beans mingling with the soft scent of flowers from the adjacent shop, marking the beginning of something new. She allowed herself to relax, watching Liam interact with his son, the simplicity of the moment grounding her, reinforcing her decision to embrace this new chapter of life. As the morning progressed, Emily received a carefully folded envelope, her name written in elegant script. Inside was an invitation to a high-profile charity gala, an event she had attended in a different life with different expectations and less control over her own narrative. She held the invitation thoughtfully, imagining the glittering chandeliers, the hushed conversations, and the subtle competitions of status. Yet this time she would attend not as a woman defined by others, but as someone who had reclaimed her autonomy. She discussed the evening with Liam, his eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and admiration, and together they planned the approach, ensuring that Emily's presence would convey confidence and composure. Hours passed as they prepared, sunlight giving way to the soft hues of early evening, and Emily found herself adjusting the final details of her attire. The subtle elegance of her dress complementing the quiet strength she carried, the scent of citrus and roses from the surrounding streets blending with the warm aroma of her café, grounding her in the reality of her accomplishments. She took a deep breath, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, a reminder of resilience and self-possession. And as the day shifted toward night, Emily knew that this event was more than an opportunity for social interaction. It was a symbol of her own rebirth, a chance to navigate the world on her terms. With Liam at her side as both partner and confidant, the city lights beginning to twinkle outside the cafe windows, she allowed a moment to appreciate the life she was building, the small, meaningful victories, and the promise of experiences yet to unfold, knowing that each step forward was a testament to her regained strength and the quiet, enduring power of dignity. Emily stepped into the softly lit cafe in the late afternoon, the warmth from the espresso machines and the subtle aroma of vanilla and cinnamon filling the air. She moved with calm assurance, arranging a tray of freshly baked pastries while watching Liam playfully interact with his son at a corner table, the boy's laughter echoing like a gentle melody, and she felt a quiet satisfaction in the simple joys surrounding her. Liam looked up, smiling warmly, and handed her a folded card, explaining that it was an invitation to an exclusive networking event later that evening. Emily studied it carefully, considering the opportunity not merely as a social engagement, but as a step into a broader world of possibilities. She imagined the grand hall, sparkling chandeliers, and the subdued conversations filled with hidden expectations. Yet she felt prepared this time, her confidence stemming from the small victories she had achieved over the past months. She discussed the event with Liam, sharing her plans and listening to his thoughtful suggestions, each word exchanged strengthening the trust and mutual respect growing between them. The sunlight shifted, casting a golden glow across the polished tables and illuminating the dust motes dancing lazily in the air. Emily adjusted her apron and took a moment to appreciate the life she was building, a life grounded in dignity, independence, and meaningful connections. As the afternoon unfolded, she continued to engage with the few patrons present, her voice calm and steady, her presence exuding a subtle strength. And when Liam and his son prepared to leave for a short errand, Emily accompanied them briefly outside. The fresh breeze carrying hints of blooming flowers and distant city sounds. She felt invigorated by the rhythm of the streets, the people passing by oblivious to the quiet transformation unfolding within her. And as she returned to the cafe, she glanced once more at the invitation, a tangible symbol of the new chapter awaiting her, her thoughts aligning with a vision of the evening, not as a moment to compete or compare, but as an affirmation of her resilience, the simple act of walking through the doors of the event carrying with it the essence of self-possession and quiet elegance. Emily allowed herself a deep, controlled breath, feeling the subtle pulse of anticipation and readiness, the light fading gently outside while the interior of the cafe remained warm and inviting. She paused for a moment at the counter, the soft clink of cups and the muted hum of conversation grounding her, and in that suspended pause, she recognized that the forthcoming evening would mark not only an encounter with new social circles, but a deliberate assertion of the life she had chosen. A conscious step forward from the remnants of past disappointments into a future defined by her own decisions and supported by the unexpected yet genuine bond she shared with Liam and his son. The evening approached with a golden glow spilling across the city streets as Emily and Liam walked toward the gala, the sound of their footsteps blending with the distant hum of traffic and the occasional laughter of pedestrians. The invitation in her hand feeling heavier with anticipation, Emily's heart beat steadily, a quiet rhythm of determination and readiness. The grand hall loomed ahead, its tall glass doors reflecting the twinkling city lights. She inhaled deeply, the scent of polished wood and fresh flowers greeting her as they stepped inside, the interior awash in warm light, chandeliers casting intricate patterns across the polished floors, the gentle murmur of well-dressed guests filling the air. She and Liam moved with ease, their presence understated yet confident, Emily's eyes scanning the crowd. Noticing familiar faces and the subtle social hierarchies at play, her attention caught momentarily by the delicate shimmer of her bracelet, a personal symbol of the quiet strength she had cultivated. Conversations flowed around them, soft laughter punctuating the hum of polite chatter. Emily felt a sense of calm, a stark contrast to the tension of previous gatherings. She exchanged pleasantries with acquaintances, each interaction reinforcing her composure and poise. Liam's reassuring presence at her side offered both comfort and silent encouragement. As they navigated through the crowd, Emily became aware of whispers and glances, subtle acknowledgments of her understated elegance and confidence. The moment felt suspended in time, anticipation hovering just beneath the surface. She allowed herself to observe, to breathe, to appreciate the distance she had traveled from the uncertainty of the past to the measured control of the present. Soft strains of piano music drifted through the hall, mingling with the faint clinking of glasses, and Emily's thoughts turned inward, reflecting on the choices that had brought her here, the small victories and the deliberate steps of self-reinvention. She felt a quiet thrill, not of triumph over others, but of ownership over her own narrative. As the evening unfolded, she and Liam mingled seamlessly, their interactions graceful and authentic. The city lights outside casting a gentle glow through the tall windows, and Emily recognized that this event marked not a confrontation but an affirmation, a stage upon which she could silently demonstrate the resilience, dignity, and quiet power she had earned. Each smile, each measured gesture, a statement of presence and self-possession, the subtle yet unmistakable effect of her journey from betrayal and uncertainty towards strength and confidence. And as the first notes of a string quartet began to play, Emily felt the promise of further revelations, the unfolding of a chapter that would solidify her newfound independence, leaving the air thick with possibility and the unspoken understanding that this evening was only the beginning of a remarkable transformation. Emily stepped into the ballroom, the warm glow of chandeliers reflecting softly off her dress as she moved with deliberate grace, the gentle hum of conversation and the soft strains of a string quartet filling the space. She felt Liam's hand lightly brush hers, a quiet reassurance. As they navigated through clusters of elegantly dressed guests, Sophie appeared near the grand staircase, her smile bright, but her eyes momentarily betraying surprise as they met Emily's calm, confident gaze. Nathan Reynolds stood beside her sister, his posture upright, exuding the quiet authority he had always carried, and yet Emily remained composed, her presence unshakable, each step measured, each glance purposeful, whispers of admiration and curiosity tracing behind her as she passed. The subtle recognition of her refined composure drawing attention without the need for words. Conversations paused in soft murmurs as eyes followed her, the city lights outside the tall windows casting long shadows across the polished floors. Emily's mind remained steady, recalling the quiet mornings spent building her café, the moments of laughter shared with Liam and his son, grounding her in a reality far richer than the superficial grandeur surrounding them. She paused near a cluster of guests, exchanging polite words and nods, the sense of controlled elegance radiating from her. Sophie's smirk faltered as she observed the calm authority Emily projected. Nathan's eyes flickered with a mixture of curiosity and unspoken recognition, and the space seemed to subtly shift, the room sensing a new dynamic. Emily's quiet confidence overshadowing the expected tension. She moved through the crowd, her presence a testament to resilience, dignity, and the silent power of self-possession. Liam following closely, their interactions fluid, the small gestures between them speaking volumes, the soft music accentuating the rhythm of their measured steps. Emily's thoughts remained centered, aware of the social landscape, yet unperturbed. As she reached the center of the room, the soft clink of glasses and polite laughter forming a backdrop, she allowed herself a brief, satisfied smile, recognizing the moment as both an affirmation and a turning point, the culmination of her quiet reinvention. And as the camera would capture the subtle acknowledgement in Nathan's eyes, the slight hesitation in Sophie's posture, and the calm, assured presence of Emily standing alongside Liam, the room seemed to hold its breath, a moment suspended in time. brimming with the promise of revelations and the undeniable assertion that Emily had claimed her space, not through confrontation, but through a composed, undeniable display of her regained strength and autonomy, the night still young, leaving the audience anticipating the unfolding of the next chapter in her remarkable journey. As the soft melody of the string quartet filled the grand hall, Emily felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere, her gaze settling on Liam, whose posture exuded quiet confidence and an unexpected air of authority, the murmurs around them carrying the realization that he was no ordinary guest, whispers tracing the movements of the pair as subtle recognition dawned in the eyes of Nathan Reynolds. The realization that the man at Emily's side was a significant figure in the business world, a strategic force whose influence intersected with Nathan's own ventures. Emily's heart remained steady, her composure flawless, as she allowed Liam to introduce her with a gentle gesture, the room acknowledging her presence and the quiet power she now commanded. The soft rustle of silk and the gentle clinking of glasses punctuating the air as Sophie's confident smirk faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. Nathan's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and recalibrated respect as he observed the subtle, yet undeniable impact of Emily's choice of companion. The whispers grew as the significance of the connection became apparent, the social dynamics of the evening subtly realigning around the understated yet potent revelation. Emily's lips curved into a quiet, knowing smile, the embodiment of self-possession and silent triumph. She moved with measured steps through the crowd, each glance and nod conveying grace and authority, the chandeliers above casting intricate patterns of light that seemed to highlight the transition of power and presence within the room. Liam at her side, sharing a confident smile, subtly signaling to the gathered guests that Emily's life and narrative were now firmly under her own direction, the delicate notes of the music accentuating the tension and curiosity of onlookers. The room filled with a silent acknowledgement of the reversal that had occurred. Emily's focus remained inward, savoring the quiet victory of being seen as a woman who had reclaimed her agency and dignity without a single confrontational word. The soft light reflecting off her dress and the subtle shimmer of her bracelet symbolizing the culmination of resilience, strategy, and grace. And as she engaged in polite conversation, each sentence measured and each gesture deliberate, the undercurrent of admiration and acknowledgement rippled through the guests. The narrative of the evening now unmistakably hers, a demonstration that the most profound victories are those won quietly, with poise and unwavering self-respect. And as the music swelled, the camera would capture the silent yet unmistakable statement that Emily had not only navigated the social labyrinth with precision, but had subtly yet irrevocably shifted the balance. Her victory evident in the glances, whispers, and recalculated perceptions of everyone around, leaving the audience anticipating the final, enduring chapter of her journey. Emily stood in the center of the grand hall, the golden light of the chandeliers reflecting off the polished marble floors and casting a warm glow over the assembled guests. She breathed in deeply, the scent of fresh flowers and subtle hints of citrus filling the air. Liam at her side, their fingers brushing lightly in a silent affirmation of support and shared confidence. The room seemed to hold its collective breath as whispers of curiosity and admiration traced their movements. Sophie's smile had completely faded, replaced by an unmistakable tension as she observed Emily's poised demeanor. Nathan Reynolds' expression had shifted to one of measured surprise, his eyes following the quiet authority Emily exuded. She navigated the room with a calm, deliberate grace, exchanging polite words and subtle nods, each interaction reinforcing the undeniable presence she now commanded. The soft strains of a string quartet underscored the elegant atmosphere, each note harmonizing with the rhythm of her composed movements, the subtle shimmer of her bracelet catching the light, a quiet symbol of her resilience and personal triumph. Emily's mind reflected on the journey that had brought her here, the mornings spent rebuilding her life, the moments of quiet joy with Liam and his son, the deliberate steps she had taken to reclaim her autonomy. She allowed herself a moment to appreciate the transformation, the silent power of dignity radiating from every measured gesture. Conversation flowed around them, Yet the energy of Emily's presence subtly redirected the attention of the guests. The room's social dynamic quietly rearranged by the assertion of her poise and calm confidence. She paused briefly near a cluster of acquaintances, exchanging pleasantries with an elegance that needed no embellishment. Liam's supportive glance reminded her that her victories were now shared, not dependent on confrontation, but on the composed assertion of self-worth. The ambient light highlighted the gentle curve of her smile and the assured stance she carried. Sophie's occasional glances betrayed disbelief. Nathan's silent acknowledgement confirmed the respect that had been earned without a single word of argument. And as Emily moved gracefully toward the balcony, the soft city lights spilling through the tall windows framed her figure, a visual testament to the journey from betrayal and uncertainty to self-possession and empowerment. She paused to gaze out over the twinkling skyline, feeling the depth of freedom and achievement in that quiet moment, a serene smile spreading across her face, the subtle music and murmured conversations of the gala fading into the background as she recognized the profound victory of her own narrative. And in that luminous pause, the audience could sense that Emily had not only reclaimed her life with dignity and strength, but had also illuminated the path forward, a promise of continued resilience and self-assured grace extending far beyond the confines of the grand hall.